Welcome friends. The topic for the day is about the modern birds, their evolution, why they are called glorified reptiles, and what are the adaptations found in them as far as the adaptation for flight is concerned. Now, to start with, the birds have been grouped under the class Aves of superclass Tetrapoda among vertebrates. The study of birds is referred to as ornithology, and the study of bird eggs is referred to as oology. Now, to define the birds, we can use the sentence, they are the organisms which have feathers, can fly, and have bipedal mode of locomotion. What are the characteristics that are unique to birds? Number one is the feathers. The feathers are the characteristic features of the birds. Besides feathers, we also have got a unique feature in the mouth which is referred to as the beak. They are the first endothermic organisms. They are the organisms which lay cleidoic eggs which have large yolk in that. By cleidoic eggs, I mean to say the organisms which have got the shell around their eggs. The skeleton, the digestive system, the reproductive system, the circulatory system, all the visceral organs have adapted for the flight. It was Huxley who called them as glorified reptiles. Why he called them as glorified reptiles? Because they have better evolution and organization over the reptiles. Now, what are the features that made Huxley to use the word glorified reptiles? Number one is that they are the organisms which are warm-blooded, that is, they are homeothermous. That means the organisms which can maintain their body temperature. To maintain their body temperature, they need to have very high metabolic rate, which means that they are always alert. The higher metabolic rate is achieved in these organisms by having the most efficient digestive system, and they are intelligent enough to choose that diet which is rich in carbohydrates. The high rate of metabolism also gives them a feature of rapid locomotion, either when they are walking or when they are in flight. This rapid locomotion also helps them to have the unique feature that is flight, and for this feature they need to have a very high metabolic rate. The feathers which are unique to these organisms have primarily come into existence for insulation against the loss of heat from the body, and secondarily they were utilized for the purpose of flight. In my due course of lecture, I will be talking about the structure of the feathers and the different types of feathers and how these peculiar feathers help in the adaptation of flight. These organisms also have got efficient circulatory system, that is, they have got 4-chambered heart, which is the modified form of heart from that of the reptiles. Among reptiles, the 4-chambered heart was found only in crocodiles, and rest reptiles have got either 3-chambered or partially 4-chambered heart. Another feature in their circulatory system is the reduced or vestigial renal portal system, which is found only in birds, but in case of reptiles, this renal portal system is well developed. Thus, this is an advanced feature in the evolution, and that is why we call them as glorified reptiles. The respiratory system in birds is also efficient, though they have inelastic lungs, but they have got the air sacs. They also are very intelligent for making the what you call as cooperatory calls by singing and asking for the mating from the opposite sex. The excretory system in these birds includes the metanephric kidneys, which have very long nephrons and have got deep loop of annals, which means that they can reabsorb water and remove the excretory waste more efficiently than that of the reptiles. Birds also have got the modifications in the endoskeleton, in the digestive system, in the muscular system and other systems of the body over that of the reptiles. Brain in these organisms have been found to have well developed cerebellum and cerebrum. The cerebrum, which is the part of the brain related to the intelligence, gives them the peculiar parental care, gives them the feature of this identification. They can remember things, as has been seen in case of parrot. The parrot can mimic the sounds of their masters. The organisms, because of the cerebellum, can also have got large amount of affection for their mate. It has also been seen that cerebellum, which is very well developed in these organisms, have got the feature which gives them the feature of equilibrium in the air. The well developed cerebellum in the brain in these organisms gives them the feature of balance while they are flying. Again, the optic lobes in the brain are very well developed along with the hearing sense in these organisms. Birds have also been seen to have colored eggs, which helps them to camouflage their eggs from the predators or egg eaters. These features are very unique to the aves or birds. That is why Huxley called them as glorified reptiles. Now, birds are considered to be intelligent organisms and they have a peculiar behavior. Now, I will be using these words to justify this statement. It has been seen that the birds are having parental care. By parental care, I mean to say that they take due care of their nestlings and the eggs, and they incubate the eggs before they hatch. It has also been seen that the male birds are bright colored and also they are expert nest builders, as is the case with the weaver bird and other birds of that kind. The birds, male birds particularly, build the nest to attract the female partner, and a female partner inspects these nests, and if she is satisfied by the nest building pattern of the male, then only she goes for the copulation with a particular mate. Again, very important feature is that the migration. The migration pattern in these birds have been seen, and they periodically visit a particular place in search of food, mate and shelter. And it has been seen that it is the intelligence in them that makes them to visit frequently the same place year after year, as has been seen in case of the Siberian crane and other examples of such case. The birds also have the monogamous life. That means they mate only with single sex or single partner, and they have got large amount of affection for their mate, and they take due care of the mate during the breeding and thereafter also. The singing and mating calls that are being made by the bird also show the type of what you call as intelligence in them. It is the female peahen that is attracted to the dance of the peacock, and it is the female peahen is intelligent enough to mate with that peacock which has got the brightest possible feathers. I'll be talking about now the evolution of the birds. We have come to know that the birds have come into existence from a reptilian ancestry, and it is well known fact that around 140 to 150 million years ago, there lived an dinosaur or reptile which we call as Archaeopteryx lithographica. The word has come from the Greek word which has the meanings of archaeo, that is the history, pteryx means the feathered organism, litho is the word from the rocks, and graphica is the impression of the fossil remains of this bird that we have got on the fossil on the rock. This Archaeopteryx lithographica fossil was seen in the year 1861 in a place called Bavaria in Germany by Andres Wagner. This organism called Archaeopteryx lithographica is considered to be a connecting link between reptiles and birds. Why we call it as connecting link? Because this organism has both the characters of reptiles as well as that of a bird. The reptilian characters of this organism are, number one, this organism had scales on body as well as on its legs. This organism had non-pneumatic bones. That means the bones in this organisms were tougher and stronger and heavier, which is not the case with the modern birds. The organism also had jaws, and the jaws in them were having the homodont dentition, which is again not the case with the modern birds, but is the reptilian character in them. The organism called Archaeopteryx also had got long tail with 20 free vertebrae, which is again not the case with the modern bird. The organism again had got long cervical vertebrae, that means the neck vertebrae, and the number of these range from 9 to 10, which is much less than the modern birds. The centrum of the vertebra in this organism were amphicoelous, that is flat on both sides, whereas in the modern birds we have got heterocoelous vertebrae, which provides flexibility to their vertebra. The vertebral column were having vertebrae which were free and they were not fused, which is not the case with the modern birds, which have got the fused vertebral column comparatively. The thoracic ribs were also of the reptilian type. The sternum in this organism, that is the breastbone, was not shaped like that of a keel or boat. The forelimbs were having hands and were having 3 free digits, which again are not seen in case of the modern birds. Carpals, that is the wrist bones, and metacarpals, that is the palm bones, were free in Archaeopteryx. Pelvic girdle was like that of a reptile, and the brain in Archaeopteryx was also very simple, like that of a reptile. What were the avian features found in case of Archaeopteryx? Number one, and very important feature, was that the body of Archaeopteryx was supposedly having the feathers on it. Particularly the feathers were the contour feathers, that is the feathers that are present on the general body. The wings were also present in this organism, and the what you call as flight feathers, that is remiges, were also found in this organism. The tail feathers, that is rectrices, were also found in the fossils of Archaeopteryx. The skull is monocondylic, that is has got only one joint with the vertebral column, and again this is an advanced feature like that of a bird. The jaws were modified into a beak-like structure, which is again the feature of the bird, but it was having teeth on it, that is the reptilian feature. The clavicles, that is the shoulder bones, here we have clavicles, they were modified into a V-shaped furcula, which is an advanced feature and is found in birds as well, and other features also were there like that of a bird. Because of the presence of these, the mix of reptilian and the bird-like features, we say that Archaeopteryx is a connecting link between reptiles and birds. Now let me talk about the feathers, which are also called as the nature's masterpieces. The word nature masterpieces were provided to them by a well-known ornithologist, that is Young. Now feathers are unique to the birds only, and the study of the distribution of feathers in the birds is referred to as pterylosis. Pterylosis is the study of distribution of feathers on the body of the bird. Pterygae or pterylay is the area where the feathers are present, and apterylay or aterylay is the area where feathers are not found in the body. Like, say for example, feathers are not seen on the claws and the hind limbs, particularly beyond in the shank region of that particular organism. So this region is referred to as aterylay region. Again, in case of vultures, we see that the skull area and the neck area is not having feathers on it, and we call that region as aterylay region. It has been seen that in one of the dinosaurs or reptilian, which is referred to as Coelosaurus, its fossils were found in the Chinese plateau called Liaoning area. The fossils of this particular reptile were seen to have feather-like structures. Thus, at present, the feathers are characteristics to birds, but maybe some 100 million to 150 million years ago, the feather-like structures were also found in case of reptiles. Thus, we say that the birds have got feathers from the reptilian ancestry. Feathers are the lightest possible structure present in the body of the bird, but they are very strong structures made up of a protein called keratin, which is different from the keratin found in case of reptiles and other organisms. This keratin is a waterproof structure and waterproof protein, and provides the insulation both against the water and the heat. The structure of the feather is very peculiar and has very important function to perform, that is insulation and flight. Now let me talk about the structure of the feather. The structure of the feather can be understood under two heads. Number one is the axis. The axis of the feather consists of a small region which is referred to as the calamus, and the region which is present in the broader area of the feather, which is referred to as rachis. The calamus region is semi-transparent, made up of keratin again, and it has got two openings on the lower side and one opening at the region of the where the broader area starts. This lower opening is referred to as the inferior umbilicus, and the opening on the upper side of it is referred to as superior umbilicus. These two openings are very important, and the calamus region is again of great importance. The calamus region of the feather is attached with the follicle of the integument, and through the inferior umbilicus the blood vessels, the nerves and other structures get into the feather for the purpose of the nourishment and also for the purpose of movements also, and they make it very sensitive structure. It is to the calamus that the muscles of the dermis are attached, which help in the movement of the feathers also. The broader area of the feather is referred to as vein, and the rachis is like a very small line present in the vein. This rachis is polygonal in transverse section, and it has got an mid ventral groove along the entire length of the rachis. The vein is having number of bristle like structures which we call as barbs, and on the barbs arise on both sides, on upper surface and lower surface, the barbules. These barbules have interlocking mechanism, and because of this interlocking mechanism found in the barbs, we get a structure which helps the birds to fly. Up to now, I have talked about the birds, the study of birds. I gave you the characteristics that are peculiar to birds. I also told you that they were called as glorified reptiles by Huxley. I gave you a brief idea about the evolution of birds. In my next course of lecture, that is part 2 of this lecture, I will be talking about the type of feathers and the flight adaptations in birds. Thank you very much.